Hello, welcome back, and we're going to do one last look today at double pages of sorts. And today we're talking about how to bridge the gap between different artistic styles or creative styles, crafting styles, whatever you want to call it, and when you come back to a project after a long gap. So I've flipped to a page in my album that's several years old, and it's a slightly different style than how I'm scrapbooking right now. And I'm going to create a page to go opposite that layout. It's going to be different supplies and a different number of photos, so I'm not making an identical copy, but I'm going to take all my design notes that I can from this layout to try to bridge the gap between what I'm doing now on my pages and what I did then, and see if I can get the two to come together so that they don't feel like they're quite so separate, but likewise, neither of them feels like one is right and one is wrong. I definitely don't want that to happen. I just find that sometimes if I have stalled on a project, that it's another excuse I use to not go back to it. I go, oh, well, my pages don't look like that anymore, so if I make pages now, it's just going to look really awkward. And I do have albums where I have pages that are completely different styles and they're right next to each other. My childhood album is a really good example of that because the layouts that have been made in there have been over the entire time that I've been scrapbooking. My style has changed hugely over those years. But I do find that sometimes I can still use this as an excuse even though I know that different styles can go together and be happy in an album. But if I use this exercise of going back and using one of the older pages as my kind of creative guide, then I can create the facing page in a way that will feel better. And then even though one is new and one is old, when they live side by side in the album, they'll still look like they were meant to be there, and it won't be two facing pages of a very, very different style. And that makes me a little happy, I think. It helps me get out of that excuse of I'm not going to go back to that because. There we go. So I'm going to create with this set of photos and page kit, which you saw me make a few weeks ago. But I'm going to use this as my creative inspiration to put it all together. Here's a little reminder of what I have in that kit and the photos. And this was going to be a layout with 3 photos down the side. Now actually, I think, yes, these two will go in the opposite order in the book, but it's just easier for me to work with it this way if I'm making 2 pages to coordinate rather than a whole double page spread. There might be an entire discussion behind why it's easier for me to work on the one that's on the right side, but for whatever reason it is. So as it goes, I have a map print in here that's aqua that isn't all that different from the idea of this map print over here, which has aqua. So, but then I haven't pulled out much in the ways of these reds and oranges here. And my photos are going to go all down one side. So I might as well, here's my note that I left in the page kit to remind me what I was doing. I might as well go ahead and adhere these and then work with the space. And I think they're going to go this order. This one up at the top with all the light space. I'm just leaving myself enough room on that left edge that I'll be able to add things there if I want. Not a lot, but a little bit. Okay. Now, how can I take inspiration from this one to make it match with this? Well, one of the first things I'm going to do is, instead of doing a strip of paper that goes all the way to the top and the bottom here, I'm going to do 2 strips, one that has a little bit of frame and one that is even shorter. So there's going to be 2 little bits of paper layered here, but like this one, they're going to leave the frame all the way around. Okay, these 2 pattern strips to overlap then on this far left side. And I really did have to cut into the middle of this one to get Chile on the map, but that's okay. Oh, I need to move that up just a little bit so that they're not ending right at the same point. And maybe I should have cut this map one a little bit more narrow, but I didn't. I think I'll just leave it like that. If it bothers me, I can go back and put more frame on that edge. But I like the bit of the map that's showing, so I think I want to leave it. Okay, what else can I do to take inspiration from here? Well, I'm wondering what I could do with this circle border and this stack of journaling cards for the embellishment. I had these two journaling cards in the kit, in my page kit. And when I chose this one, I was thinking I would cut this one down but keep that one full. I'll go ahead and do that. And then bigger box of the navy behind there. And let's try layering these and see if I can get something a little similar to what I did on this one. I'm not sure what's going to happen with that one. I'm going to put it up at the top for a moment. And what I did on this page was to keep layering things inside the frames. And then had some circle elements cut in half. And there's just a lot of layers here that is perhaps more layers than I've been adding recently. Let me look at the stickers that I've chosen for this particular page kit. Let's see what would work with the frames. Well, what happens if I layer something there? Now, of course, I need something here, but I think that is possible. No, I'm not liking this because this background is the same color as that one. So look for something that would have a bit more contrast. Like this strip that I can trim here. And I kept this one for the camera. If I put the camera there, I'm probably going to cover up the flowers, but I'm okay with that, I think. Yep. Try it one more time, see if I can line that up a little bit better. Pesky stickers sticking to everything. Who knew? And I think maybe the right thing to do is this camera has the little pinked circle there, and that layout that I'm copying has the plain circles, but I think if I take the pinked circle and do that same effect of a border with the half pieces, that it could be really effective. really easy way to bring this page to the style of that page would be to use that butterfly punch, but I can't do that because I've loaned my butterfly punch to a friend who's throwing a butterfly themed birthday party. So I can't do that right now. And rather than let that stress me out and keep waiting, I'm just going to ignore that one particular element and focus on other things. And then sometimes I try to find something that is similar but not identical. So for example, on this layout I use this crocheted trim, which I was using off and on at the point when I made that layout, but I'm not particularly using that as a supply right now. I tend to use my baker's twine a bit more often if I want to include something that's a bit more like a fiber. So I'm going to add some yellow with baker's twine. I'm just lining it up to get the glue onto it because it likes to move as you glue it, but then once you've got the glue on the twine, it doesn't take much glue to stick it into place, which is always nice. I want to just cover that edge where I've cut all of the punched pieces in half. There you go. And then I want to pair that with something that is the same as the supply on this layout so that you still get the same effect of bringing the old to the new. So although I don't use the crocheted trim, I still use things like rhinestones. So I'm going to put rhinestones in the center of each of the, well, no, maybe not in the center. I'm going to put rhinestones on each of these little circles. I think I might dot them around a little bit. And I'm going to mix that with the gold mist and just do a little vertical row of the splatters. Well, as much as I can contain it to a vertical row. Of course, it's going to disagree and go everywhere else. If I get one little droplet of mist onto the photo like this one, then I quite often will just back up a little bit to get a couple more so that I'm not getting it on most of the photo, but it looks a little bit more purposeful than just one drop, because I figure that one drop looks like a mistake, but a few looks like I meant to do that. Right, so now on this one I layered the title on top of the embellishment, so I think I can do that again. But I'll use the stickers that are in, or the stickers, two kinds, stickers and some flat stickers that are in my page kit. One way I could have made this more the style of this would be to do the journaling on strips like this, but because I'd already used that journaling sticker and it was basically the right size for what I wanted to include, that seemed to make more sense. But I am going to add something up here to mimic how I had this big embellishment grouping and then copied various, just a few elements from it for each of these other smaller pieces. I'm not going to do 3 because I've got more photos, so less room for embellishment, but I'm not worried about covering up this top part of the map because all I want to make sure I don't cover up is this part down here. So that makes sense for me to have one embellishment grouping up here that's smaller but mimics the style of this one. So I can do a few more of those little half circles, a few more rhinestones, and add a little sticker or two to bring it all together. And taking direction from the older layout also makes this a pretty quick process. It's made it much quicker than if I had made this layout from scratch without something to follow. And I think it's because just every time we do something like that, it's giving us a little bit more direction and stopping us from making so many decisions. I'm not needing to start from scratch. I can take my ideas from something else. And that's how that works. It just means that it's all a little quicker. More twine, more rhinestones, yep. And then I'm going to go back to that big sticker sheet and see if there's anything else that might be a nice match up here. And I have some enamel dots left in the kit that I haven't touched, so I think that would be a good way to make this a little bit more like what I do recently. So that's okay. I've got my camera. I'm going to use this one that's a globe and use some pop dots to make that a bit more special. And I used pop dots on the embellishments on that other page as well, so that's not a big change in how I embellish my pages. Put that one right about there. And then the enamel dots. Just looking at what of those colors I should go with, and I think it's the aqua. Do I want to use the shapes or the circles? There's 3 little triangles that might work well. I'm not sure actually. Maybe over here they would be a bit better. Yep, I like them better over here. I'm just looking if any of the smaller stickers would fit nicely in this space. I've got one here that says, "Isn't that special?" That would be quite good. Okay, it might seem a little bit sarcastic, but I'm going to do it anyway. No, thought it might fit there, but it does not. Put that one back. And I was going to go with the smallest size of dots here, thinking that would be maybe a better match, but then I realized the small aqua on aqua was probably going to cause it to all get a bit lost. So I'm going with the bigger ones, and then those little circles need some more of the gold to make them feel a bit less bare. And I think this just needs the staples on the twine, and then the whole page is done. Sorry if that just gave you a panic attack because I stapled right through the photo. Please don't worry. 1, it's not your photos. So if it does give you a panic attack, just don't do it to yours. I'm going to do it again, sorry. And 2, I have all of these backed up. I could print them again. They're not, they're not some special heritage photo, never to be printed again. It's okay. It's alright. It really is. Okay, so that's how that's going to be finished. This one's going to go on that side. And there we go. Make sure that title's going to stick. There we go. So, if you have this same sort of excuse that you give yourself to stall projects further, and you think, oh, I could go back and finish that album that I really wanted to finish, but it's been a long time, so my layout's going to look a lot different, don't despair. You can go and take style choices from the pages that are already there, mix it with the style that you use now. It'll be a little bit of the old, a little bit of the new. It'll help you create quick pages and dive right back into that album that you've been avoiding. Enjoy!